The Supreme Court upholding birthright citizenship in arguably the most anticipated case of the term. A 6-3 ruling strikes down President Trump's attempt to end automatic citizenship for babies born in the U.S. whose parents are not citizens. National correspondent Andra El-Nazar has more on this historic ruling.
In a landmark ruling, the Supreme Court deems birthright citizenship a foundational American principle and not, as President Trump argued, an outdated post-Civil War relic. Chief Justice John Roberts writes in the majority opinion, citizenship then and now was the right to have rights, to freely participate in our political community. The framers of the 14th Amendment extended that promise to every freeborn person in this land. We keep that promise today. Leaders in Congress reacting in real time.
Anybody who looks at this, oh dear, what they rule?
Here we go.
Children born in the United States.
Well,
This is real time.
I need to read the opinion, okay? However, I do think that this has been grossly abused in recent years, okay?
Donald Trump does not get to bend the rules and rewrite the Constitution just to comply with his illegal and anti-immigrant agenda.
President Trump now calling on Congress to legislate an end to birthright citizenship, claiming no long and unwieldy constitutional amendment is necessary. At the heart of this case are these opening words of the Constitution's 14th Amendment. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. It's the subject to the jurisdiction thereof part that was up for debate. President Trump argued people in the U.S. illegally are not subject to U.S. jurisdiction. The majority of justices disagreed.
It basically means if you're born here, you're subject to being in this country, the laws of this country. That makes you a citizen. You're subject to the jurisdiction.
A new NBC poll gives insight into whether Americans view being born in the United States as central to the American identity. 54% say it is important, 45% say it's not. Some Republicans in Congress are already talking about amending the Constitution to end birthright citizenship, a lengthy process that requires approval from 2/3 of Congress and 3/4 of state legislatures. In Washington, I'm Andra El-Nazar.
And for further breakdown on this decision, we are joined now by legal expert Robert Steinbuch. Robert, thanks for being here.
Great to be here as always.
This was a big decision. A lot of people were listening in for this and wanting to know how they would decide. Can you break down this decision for us today?
Yeah, the question was whether the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution says if you're born here, you are automatically a citizen. Because the language talks about whether you're subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. And what does that mean? And so the majority said, essentially, you're subject to that jurisdiction being born here, with a few minor exceptions that we've seen historically applied. The dissent said otherwise. The dissent said, we have never been confronted with precisely this circumstance before, where we have a large number of illegal aliens coming to this country. Are they subject to the jurisdiction of this country such that their children automatically get citizenship upon birth? And the dissent said no. And in fact, one of the concurrences said no. So it's interesting to see it's a 6-3 opinion, but in terms of what the 14th Amendment guarantees, it's really a 5-4 opinion. So who knows, sometime in the later future, you might see that flip if this type of issue comes before the Supreme Court again, and we have some change in the population of the Supreme Court.
Does this ruling have any immediate effects on families here in Arkansas or across the country?
Well, of course it does, in the sense that they don't need to worry about the citizenship of anybody born here after whatever would have been the effective date of the executive order. Everyone born here, again, subject to some very minor exceptions that are not particularly relevant here, like being a child of an ambassador. Other than those, anyone born here is an American citizen.
Does this end the conversation about this, or could we see this be revisited?
As I mentioned a moment ago, since it's a 5-4 decision, if you see any change in the composition of the Supreme Court that takes away one of the, I'll put liberal votes, and in this case that included Justice Roberts and Justice Barrett, If you see any change in that composition, then the issue could be brought before the Supreme Court again with a request to revisit the legal issue.
Another big decision that we heard about today is that the Supreme Court also ruled that states can continue their ban on transgender athletes in women's sports. And that one really impacts a number of states right now.
Including Arkansas. Arkansas passed a law that said transgender athletes have to compete in their birth sex category. And of course, there's a big debate about this. It's a debate about fairness, etc. And the Supreme Court said, it's okay.
They're keeping it there.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by to break all this down. Always great to see you.
You too.
Thank you.